Hello geeks and ghouls, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. For the past 2 months I've been in Mexico visiting my girlfriend and her family and I've had the most amazing time. But of course I was always on the lookout for horror merchandise to bring back with me. And let me tell you, I found some incredible, unique, handcrafted horror collectibles that you won't find just anywhere. But what makes these new editions extra special is that I finally got something that my collection has been lacking in for a long time. Masks. And not just any masks. These are truly one-of-a-kind pieces that you guys are gonna absolutely love. So make sure you'll stick around because I'll be saving the best for last. Now sit back, turn off the lights, if you dare, and let's dive into this terrific horror haul. But before we get to the masks, let me tell you where I actually found them. Well, in the heart of Monterrey lies Barrio Antiguo, a vibrant and historic neighborhood known for its lively atmosphere, live music, nightlife, and having the best places to eat, drink, and of course, shop. This bustling district is home to some of the city's very best bars, restaurants, cafes, and small businesses, including really cool thrift shops and really interesting antique stores. But the highlight of Barrio Antiguo has got to be its famous and extremely popular Sunday market, 𝙤𝙬𝙎𝙎𝙬, or cultural alleyway. The market has been a local tradition since the early 90s and is a place where local artists and vendors set up stalls and offer a unique mix of handmade crafts, vintage clothing, vinyl records, artworks, and a wide variety of rare treasures. It's the kind of place where you just never know what you're going to find, and that's exactly where I stumbled upon Jirafas y Cachalotes, or Giraffes and Whales in English, a small independent business specializing in creating stunning handmade papier-mâché masks. Every year I've been to Monterrey, I've seen their stall at the market and I've always admired their work, but this time something special really caught my eye. And that brings us to the first mask, and it's none other than Count Orlok, inspired by the 1922 German expressionist classic Nosferatu. When I saw this guy sat there at the stall, I just knew I needed to have him. I mean, look how incredibly striking and cool this guy looks. Believe it or not, prior to this, I actually don't own anything in the collection to do with Count Orlok or Nosferatu, but I couldn't think of a better first edition than this guy, and I'm so happy with him. First things first, this is definitely the artist's own rendition of the iconic character, as it doesn't exactly replicate the appearance of Max Schreck in the original silent movie, and it definitely doesn't resemble Bill Skarsgård's Count Orlok either. But I have to admit, I love this take on the much beloved vampire, and something that you'll notice about all of these masks is that the sculpting and the paintwork is just phenomenal, and Count Orlok is no exception. The overall sculpt of this mask is truly menacing with those piercing eyes, and I think this would actually look quite terrifying in the dark at night. But what I really appreciate about this piece is the paintwork. Jirafas y Cachalotes have their very own unique paint style. It's something that I'll talk about a little bit later on in the video, but it's absolutely beautiful. From the bone-like base colour of the skin to the very faint and real looking blue veins that add that extra touch of realism and detail, and of course these extremely contrasting shadows in the crevices of the sculpt that is reminiscent of the shadowy and surreal look of that era of German expressionist cinema. This is a perfect example of how you just can't beat handcrafted artworks, and the talent and the passion that's gone into this guy is just clear to see. I guess I should mention that all of these masks feature stamps by the artist on the inside, as well as elasticated straps for wearing them and a ribbon at the top that allows you to hang them on the wall for display, which is a much appreciated touch. And it was only after I purchased this Nosferatu mask that I found the social media pages of the artists, and I discovered that they had a whole catalogue of insane masks featuring designs inspired by numerous movies and video game characters, to traditional French masquerade ball masks that are as elegant as they are gorgeous, to these pagan looking animals which give me those creepy Wicker Man vibes, and of course more horror. I also found out that they have an actual store in the Barrio Antiguo area that my most wonderful girlfriend Pammy drove me to more than a couple of times, as I just became hooked and well, I purchased a whole bunch of masks. They do this whole catalogue made to order, and I was astonished that it only took them a few days to make them. Again, it's just true talent, and I think it shows the extremely hard-working and passionate nature of the Mexican people. So moving on now from one horror icon to another, we've got the one and only Frankenstein's monster, based on his appearance in the 1931 Universal film where he was portrayed by the legendary Boris Karloff. And can we just appreciate how accurate this mask is to the likeness of the great Boris Karloff to say this was made by independent artists. They've even included the detail of Boris Karloff's sunken cheek, which he achieved in the movie by removing his dental bridge, giving him a much more corpse-like look to great effect. And again, the paintwork on this piece is just fantastic. What I love about this one in particular is the overall vintage look to it, and that's something that I really appreciate about Jirafas y Cachalotes, as they have a very unique but absolutely gorgeous painting style. And I believe it's just one man who paints all of these masks. In fact, to my knowledge, it's only 2 people that run the entire business. And the lady who sculpts all these masks and deals with the sales is just so lovely. And yeah, the talent between those 2 people is just off the charts. The different shades of green and browns mix together so well and result in this highly detailed yet old school paint application that suits the character of the monster perfectly. I also love the individual painted strokes of hair and the large metallic staples on the monster's head. I'm almost tempted to get some eye inserts for this guy for when I display him on the wall, as I think that'll look really, really cool. They also offer Frankenstein's monster with an alternate comic book style paint job, which also looks insane and reminds me of those Ben Cooper masks and costumes from the 80s or Basil Gogo's monster illustrations from the 60s and 70s. But I went with the standard variant for Frankenstein and I absolutely love this guy. And next up we've got a mask that I simply could not resist picking up. And it's not a character from any horror movie, but an entity from Mexican folklore, El Diablito, or the Little Devil. Initially, I had no plans of picking up this guy and was going to purchase something else instead from the catalogue, such as the iconic Guy Fawkes mask. But in the end, I was won over by his devilish good looks. This depiction of the devil is well known in Mexico for appearing on the Loteria cards, and I thought, well, when in Rome, or when in Mexico. The moment I saw this mask, I was instantly drawn to it for some reason. There's just something about this design that I really like. I love the sculpt of the rather mischievous and creepy face with that malicious grin, and overall this guy gives me the same vibes as those eerie vintage Halloween masks. Once again, the paintwork on this guy is fantastic, especially all the shading and other bits of detailing, and I really like the colour palette that they went with, and I'm super glad that I picked this one up in the end. And I should also mention that despite these masks being made with the papier-mâché technique, they honestly feel like solid plastic and are extremely robust. Not like I'd use them for anything than display purposes, of course, but as long as these guys are looked after, the quality and durability of these guys are pretty insane. And so that brings us to the final mask that I brought home with me from Mexico for my horror collection. And of course, I saved the absolute best for last. Now, if you're enjoying this video and you're a horror fan, please consider slashing that subscribe button, as this is definitely the place for you. So last but not least, the final mask I purchased from Jirafas y Cachalotes is none other than Frank the Bunny, based on his appearance in 2001's Donnie Darko. And just look how marvelous this thing is. When I saw that they made a Frank mask, I just knew I needed to pick one up, especially after seeing just how insanely accurate they've got the sculpt to the screen used mask in the film. When we went down to the store to put an order in for Frank and the other masks, the business owners were actually kind enough to offer a custom paint job on the mask to my liking. Even better is that they asked me to send them photos of the real screen used mask prop for them to base the paint job off, after learning that I was a die-hard collector. And as a collector, I cannot understate how much that kind of care and consideration really means to me. And it's just another reason why these guys are so amazing. And as you can see, the paint job is just spectacular, and they've absolutely nailed that somewhat metallic look that we see on screen with the real mask. The teeth also have that sort of yellowish tint to them and have a nice bone-like appearance, and the eye holes are in the same place as the original mask too, being just in the corner of those bulging white eyes. I'm still taken aback with how accurate and just good looking the sculpts of this guy is, and this is going to look unreal hanging on the wall with the rest of my horror collection. I don't yet own anything Donnie Darko related, although I've always wanted those old NECA Frank figures from way back in the cult classic days, but this thing just blows my mind. I even sent a photo of this mask to actor James Duvall, who portrays Frank in Donnie Darko, and he replied saying that it was, in his own words, incredible. So that's an opinion coming straight from the rabbit's mouth. And James, by the way, is one of the nicest human beings you could ever wish to meet. Me and my girlfriend met him at the last Full Love of Horror convention back in Manchester, and he took so much time just to chat with us about the movie and life in general. It was especially a big thing for Pame, as Donnie Darko is one of her all-time favourite movies. So it's safe to say that she wants to steal this guy from me.
but it's mine.
No, we're going to cherish this guy together, and hopefully I can maybe add James's autograph to this one day. I'm also super tempted to get a hold of the bunny suit and perhaps put together a Frank costume for Halloween one year, so that's something I'll probably do in the future. But with all that said, I absolutely love this thing. So all in all, these masks made by Jirafas y Cachalotes are now some of the most unique and visually stunning display pieces in my entire horror collection, and I'm extremely thankful to them for all their hard work in making these for me. It's crazy that it only took them just a few days to produce the masks that I ordered, and they do them completely from scratch, by the way. The absolute talent and passion of these artists is clearly seen in both the phenomenal sculpting and paint applications on all of these masks, and it's safe to say that these won't be the last that I'll be picking up from them. Now unfortunately, they are unable to ship any masks outside of Mexico, which devastated me because I knew that there's probably a few of you guys out there who would love to own one of these masks, or maybe a bunch of masks. However, this small business still definitely deserves your support on their social media pages, which I will be linking in the description of this video. And maybe I can help some of you guys out in the future who really want one of these masks from their catalogue, because I believe these guys deserve all the success in the world. I really do. Now don't forget to comment below telling me what was your favourite mask of this video and why. And now you'll have to excuse me while I actually find a place to hang these guys up in the collection. So until next time guys, take care.